After 3 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
And when you find your passion, it ignites you as a person. You just feel awesome. Thank you so much for watching. You really helped me through the weight cut, like just talking to somebody helped me through. You are not the mother. Hey, so we just made it to the venue. We're going up the stairs to the blue corner locker room. It's kind of nice to have separate locker rooms for blue and red corner, because it's always a little awkward if you're like warming up right next to the person you're gonna fight. So that's cool. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I call scoping out the arena. So basically right now, I'm walking in, set down my bags, got a spot in the warm-up area, and I wanted to see the cage. I wanted to see the area that I was going to be fighting in. This is super useful. It can be useful to you in many different areas of life, especially in jiu-jitsu and in terms of like competitive performance. Like if you have your first jiu-jitsu competition coming up, or if you want to improve your performance in jiu-jitsu, or if you have like an interview coming up or a public speech or anything where you need to perform, doing this is absolutely helpful. And this was the first time that I'd ever been inside a cage. I had never ever been inside the cage before, so I wanted to know, okay, like where was my corner? Was the blue corner near the stairs, or was the blue corner away from the stairs? What was the size of the cage? How did it feel? What was the distance from the center of the cage to the wall of the cage? I also wanted to know how the floor felt. Like, did it feel like the mats at the academy, or did it have more spring to it? And also, I wanted to visualize. The most important thing with this concept and how it applies to anything that you want to have an increase in performance is the ability to make yourself comfortable in the exact area in which you're going to be performing. So basically, let's say you have a jiu-jitsu competition coming up and you're really nervous. Maybe it's your first time competing. One super helpful thing is, if you've never competed before, go to a competition and see what it's like. Or if it's your first time competing, go 30 minutes early and just get comfortable in that area and take time to visualize what you're going to do. I also used this the first time I ever took a jiu-jitsu class. I remember before I even took a class, I went to the academy and I wanted to meet the instructor, and I just wanted to become familiar with what I was walking into before I was walking into it. And that's super useful because you can be more focused on the task at hand if you limit the amount of variables that you need to figure out in that moment. Like, I didn't want to like walk into the cage and be like, okay, where's my corner? Like, I wanted to be completely focused on the task at hand, which is super useful. And also, it's really good to visualize. For me anyway, I wanted to visualize my first moves, because a lot like giving a public speech, I don't know if you've ever spoken in public before, but it's always the first couple of sentences that are the hardest to get out. And then once you overcome that initial barrier, things get easier, things tend to flow better. And I know when I first start, I can feel that. So I wanted to visualize actually my opponent there. I wanted to visualize what I would first do, and I wanted to concentrate on the things that I wanted to improve on and work on. So for example, I knew I wanted to set the pace. I knew I wanted to have the mantra be first. I wanted to set the pace, and I wanted to be able to control the fight no matter where it went. So I wanted to visualize and do a practice run of the moves that I was going to do. I wanted to, make sure I was doing everything technically correct. Like, I wanted to have head movement. I wanted to change levels. I wanted to make sure that I'm stepping as I'm, jabbing. I wanted to like redo all of these things. That way they would be there and in my mind in the same place that I was going to be doing these things when it actually happened. But this is super useful. You can use it, this type of technique, in many different areas. If you're going in for a job interview, if you're competing for the first time in jiu-jitsu, if you're taking your first jiu-jitsu class, like any time where you feel like you need to perform or you're nervous about doing something new, it's always good to check out the spot first.
So you're Crystal?
Yes.
So you're gonna, when you get it all wrapped up, you're gonna come down here and so the boxing commissioner gonna check the wraps before you put the gloves on, and we'll watch it put the gloves on.
Yeah, we only need to see your reps once you're ready. We're just gonna check it all.
That's a bit too small. What is this?
Hey, Crystal, I'm gonna give you wristbands for your corners, okay? That are gonna be with you cage side.
Alright.
So can you make sure that they have these on their wrists? We're gonna do a little check around. What's your birthday?
316.85.
16. It's odd numbering, so I'm gonna special number for you. Okay?
16.
What's that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, 16.
Hand, elbow, shoulder strikes legal to improve targets. 12-6 not allowed, but give us any kind of an angle and that's fine. Knees are allowed to the head, body, and legs. Kicks are allowed to the head, body, and legs. Foot stomps are legal. All throws and takedowns are legal, except no pile driving maneuvers. On the ground, all subs are legal, except small joint manipulations.
So a pretty good crew here is Roberto. Just hanging out. Are you gonna reverse the camera? Say hi. So we're about to get some hand wrappage going. So are there different hand wrapping techniques?
The one I'm concerned about mostly is just like making sure that the bones in your hand don't get broken.
Do I punch her in the fucking face?
You don't want to, you want that support. You want wrist support. You want the metacarpal bones protected. So your knuckles are going to be covered by gauze. So that's important. We cover them up. Protect your knuckles the best we can.
I was telling Jimmy, I was like, it's so weird. Like, I used to
To come here and not be fighting?
Yeah, because it's usually him, all the time it's
It
him.
was like I was talking to the people.
Yeah, you're like visualizing, you're like, wait a minute, there's nobody else there. Why am I the king alone?
Saw the stare downs, the thing we're trying to hold your smile back.
Yeah, well, it was
She
really
looked so serious.
so sweet. Well, I like started smiling because I'm like,
I could never take those things
happy.
serious.
Yeah, and
I
then
was
she
just
like, she's
yeah.
mean mugging me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Did you weigh yourself?
Last time we slept this morning, I was like 138. Yeah, I can't believe that your body can do that. I was like when you were like,
You could have fought at 150.
I got like, yeah.
You told me you're like, I'm dying into 130.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing? And yeah, because I was like I had faith because it's like it's hard when you've never seen your body do something and somebody's telling you, yeah, I can do it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I weighed in at 156 and it was 181 the next day.
Holy shit.
It's
It
crazy.
is so crazy. It's so funny that like in the sauna at like a certain point you don't like give a shit. Like it was like probably like the last hour where I was like, I'm just making
People
a
are just
garbage-
looking at you weird.
Yeah, I'm like making a garbage bag dress. Like, and I decided to garbage bag it up. Like while in the sauna because I just don't care anymore. I'm just like wrapping it around.
Fist. Yeah, we'll have to put the MMA gloves on to see how you can grab my wrist, okay? Good. Nice. So he requires like a really hard warm up.
I need to fight.
He needs a fight before he fights. He wants to feel like he's been in a fight already.
All right, so now we are heading into the warm-ups. Now there is a super important thing about warm-ups that I wish I would have told myself when I first started. If I would have told myself this, I would have saved probably collectively 3 to 4 months combined of time that I had to take off jiu-jitsu because of injuries. All right, this is it. I would tell myself, Crystal, all right, if you show up late to class, warm up on your own. If you show up to an open mat, do not pick somebody and be like, hey, let's go for a light roll, because you know how that ends up. A light warm-up roll never stays a light warm-up roll for the entire time. Even last fight camp, I remember walking in and Jimmy was having Nuri do these amazing rounds of like battle ropes and slamming a ball and getting on the assault bike, and I'm like, I'm in. And I did like this honestly half-ass warm-up of like doing some jumping rope and, you know, like a little dynamic stretching. I should have went through and did all of those exercises as a warm-up. So I would go back and I would tell myself, Crystal, if you would just have a proper warm-up, that would give you like 3 months of extra training. And I definitely wanted to share that with you because, I mean, if you're anything like me, you probably are gonna have to learn it yourself. And I'm always relearning this. Like, I really need to, you know, to stop learning that. But warm-ups are really pivotal in injury prevention. And that's definitely something that, you know, you can either learn here or learn it later on. But for those of you that do jiu-jitsu, I know you feel me on that one.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have.
Erin, how many matches we got?
She's gonna start going. She's gonna feel strong.
Do you feel strong too?
That's all we have.
Good moment.
Keep that little sweat going. Stay loose, you know.
All right. We'll just talk about 9 more minutes, right?
9 minutes?
Oh,
Oh, damn, 9 minutes for him. Yeah.
It's okay, just stay loose. You don't have to move the whole time. Just don't sit and stay still.
Yeah.
Just keep moving.
All right, Erin. Go, showtime.
Erin? You mean Crystal?
Crystal, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through the play-by-play of what I'm thinking and feeling as I'm entering the cage and inside the cage and even afterward. So basically, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to cut out my walkout song because we're gonna be flagged for copyright, but I'll put in another cool song. That way you can enjoy the walkout. But basically, from my experience in competing in jiu-jitsu and also doing a competition where strikes without gloves was involved. It's called Reality Check at my old gym. So through those experiences, I realized that there is this serious adrenaline dump that happens. And if you get yourself too worked up, it almost feels like you are tired even though you're not. Like, you can have the best cardio in the world, and if you let that adrenaline and those nerves eat at you, your performance is just going to go down the crapper. And this is really good advice, especially if you've never competed before and you want to compete, or let's say you just want to improve your performance. Like, you know, if you've competed before, you know what that adrenaline dump feels like. So here I'm just trying to keep calm and enjoy the moment, and also just basically keep calm and not let that adrenaline become too intense to the point of it deteriorating my performance. Here I was definitely thankful of going there early and figuring out where my corner was and what I was going to do, because I definitely felt more relaxed going into the cage, and I was just really enjoying the moment. I felt very like calm and composed and focused, which is really good, especially you typically, for sports performance, you want to have like your ideal performance self and then like your real self. So even if your real self would normally feel scared, you almost need to ignore that, like not answer that phone until after the fight. Like, it's not healthy, of course, to live your everyday life like that. But in moments where you need ideal performance, it's really good to be able to master your emotions and to be able to put those feelings aside and have feelings of, you know, like confidence and positive fight and challenge and excitement. So that's definitely something that I was practicing a lot during fight camp, is visualizing myself in the cage and doing my rounds with that type of mental state. That way I could simulate being there over and over again. I mean, by the time I had entered the cage, I was there for probably like 10 hours mentally. Like, it was not my first time in there. I was in there a lot. What was really interesting is my thoughts when my opponent entered the cage. So basically, I was just wondering what she was bringing, because when you first engage with somebody in combat battle, it's interesting because you can feel their strength and you can gauge what their level of strength is and what their force is. And I was wondering, like, what is she going to bring? Like, is this going to feel like I'm getting hit by, you know, one of my training partners? It's like 200 pounds. Like, is she gonna have that type of force, or is she like, what are her strikes going to feel like? Like, what is her clinch going to feel like? Like, what is she gonna feel like? And I was just wondering, like, man, like, what are you bringing? Like, that's what I was like questioning. Looking in her eyes, I was just like, what are you bringing? Like, I wanna feel what you're bringing.
Round one, let's go. Let's go, Crystal.
All right, here we go. It was amazing how what it looks like versus what it felt like, because I didn't feel any of those strikes, like zero. It didn't feel like the type of strikes that I felt during my training camp. So basically, I'm trying to do like inside leg kicks. I'm trying to turtle up, go into a clinch position. Her knees didn't hurt at all. They're nothing like Jimmy's knees. Nothing like that. So I was very pleasantly surprised here. We're up against the cage. I'm trying to get wrist control, which is really important to obviously stop strikes. And then I'm trying to reverse off the cage and get her on the cage. So, yeah. So we do a good, so I try to reverse her, she reverses me back. I get off the cage and I'm on her side. And that's when I go for the outside trip. I landed the outside trip, she gets back up. And I land the outside trip again. And so I have top position. She has me she has my posture broken. At that point, I'm trying to do body, body, head with the striking. And what my goal was to be able to posture up. She has one hook in, and I remember her coaches yelling like, do the move, do the move. And I was like, what's the move? Basically, I was just trying to like go to town with striking in the guard, trying to get up to that striking position, which is when you have one knee on the ground and one foot up, because that's, you know, it's more stable. So yeah, and she gets the arm bar. So basically what happened was she had the overhook that you couldn't see on the other side, and my corner couldn't see that overhook either. So she had overhooked my right arm, and that allowed her to be able to get the position in order to armbar me. Now, there's definitely a lot that you can learn from losing. I find that it can be very motivational. It can do two things. It can either motivate you to get back in the gym, or it can make you feel like complete crap. And if you want to compete in jiu-jitsu, or if you've ever been in the competitive arena, you definitely have probably experienced what loss feels like. But I was thinking about this because right now it's the end of March. We're in quarantine. And this happened in January, so I definitely had a lot of time to think about it. And there are basically distilled down, there are 3 steps to coping and overcoming a loss. Okay, first of all, you have to accept it. So that involves getting over all of the emotional stuff that comes with a loss. And it's not making excuses, it's being able to digest the emotions that come with it and accept it. The second step is to analyze it. So basically being able to go through the tape again and figure out, okay, exactly why did that happen? And there is a technique called the 5 whys that we used to use in engineering. So basically you look at the problem and you ask why 5 times in order to find the systemic root cause. So if we wanted to use this for an example, we would be like, okay, well, why did I get armbarred? I got armbarred because she had the overhook. Why did she have the overhook? She had the overhook because I did not clear her hooks and my posture was broken. Why was my posture broken? My posture was broken because I didn't clear the hooks and because I wasn't upright. Why wasn't I upright? Because I didn't initially sustain the proper position in order to strike effectively, which is called like ground from the ground, or ground and pound, which is like one knee down and one leg up, and being able to strike from that position. And the core reason why is because of my hip positioning. So basically my posterior chain, my hips needed to be more driven forward, and I needed more strength in my posterior chain. So looking at all of these details and really being able to analyze why you lost can give you a lot of fuel to get back in the gym and start training again. And I mean the day after I was back in the gym, and the only thing that I wanted to focus on was, okay, how do I not get armbarred again when I'm in somebody's guard and striking is involved? So I mean, that was my first MMA fight, and I hope you're not too sad that I lost, but I honestly afterwards I felt so elated. I felt so happy because it felt good to be in there. Like, it felt like I belonged in there. It felt like I could have won. It didn't feel like I was overwhelmed, or it just felt really good to be in there. Like, I was on top.
Yes.
I could have fucking won that.
No, you could have. It's okay. We learn from that.
It's gonna be another one.
It's all right. You did awesome.
It didn't even hurt.
I know. No, you're.
Like, I thought they were
fine.
gonna like be harder, but they weren't.
Right.
They're not like your knees.
You did
all.
You did awesome. We're gonna take that.
I got the takedown so easily.
Yeah.
I could have taken her down over and over and over again.
You did awesome.
Good, that was good, bro. Congratulations. You did the first one, Chris. The first match you did. Yeah.
It was just so too quick.
Understand things can happen very quick. I thought it was 3 in a row. It was 3.
Because I was like, this is weird. So I had her look again, and she looked, and it was 3.
Are you gonna do another one?
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying not to swear. I'm like, absolutely.
Look, you did awesome. We're gonna take that. We're gonna go back to the arm.
Because I have it. I have it.
Yes.
Like, I totally have it.
You had top control.
I could have won that. Yeah, like, yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff thrown, you know, we got some kicks, punches, got a teep in there. Yeah. Got to take
You're not hurt at all?
Yeah, no.
There's a time, you have, I can't
yeah,
even
like,
see
I'm
it.
not even, like, when she was, like, punching, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
This is not,
Like, right in the jaw, I was like, oh, it's
What change?
You finally understand when you're like shooting beats and stuff. It feels like nothing in my life.
Oh, yeah, no, I was like, oh, that's a knee? Like did a fly land on? And then, like, when I took her down, I was like, it took, like, 20% of what I try to do to you guys, and then I don't even succeed when I try to do it to you guys.
I think you could have won that fight.
I could have.
You could have won that fight.
I could have. Like, when I took her down, I was like, I just need to work on striking from inside the guard. And I'll tell you what, like, it's definitely a relief when you're in there and you engage with them in those first strikes and you don't, like, I didn't feel any pain. Like, none of the strikes hurt. So it's amazing what adrenaline can do. Like, nothing in there hurt me physically. I did not feel an ounce of pain, which I was super excited about. Like, I was super happy with how she felt. Like, it felt like, okay, this is a good match. And that evening, you know, we all went out to dinner and I was already like, hey, Nuri, when are you fighting again? Like, contacting the promoter and set up my, like, second fight literally after the first one, because I don't know, like, it's something that I just love it. I love the process, the challenge of being in there, competing, whether it's, you know, in the cage or doing a jiu-jitsu tournament. Like, tap cancer out's a good one if you want to do a tournament, if you haven't done one yet and you're looking at doing one. But yeah, it's really awesome it's a great litmus test to figure out where your strengths are, to put yourself in there so that you have to face your fears, you have to develop your performer self so that you can, you know, compete. And I'm just, you know, really happy that I did it, and I'm really looking forward to my future fights. This is just the beginning, and I encourage you to, if you want to try jiu-jitsu, get in there, try it. If you want to do your first competition, get in there, try it. I'm here to tell you that, like, throughout all the fear, throughout all the self-doubt, like, you can definitely self-overcome and get in that arena. So until next time, bye.
Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire.